Have you ever wanted to experience a horror game for the first time again? Well, Dead Space 2 has the solution for you with its hardcore difficulty. Hardcore is the same difficulty as Zealot with a couple very important differences. There are no autosaves and only 3 manual saves for the whole game. It'll feel just like old times when you know one wrong move can erase hours of progress. But that didn't feel quite like enough of a challenge, so I used all 3 of my saves on the very first station. This is the story of how I tried beating Dead Space 2 hardcore with 0 saves. Things are going pretty crazy around here. People are being killed, they're getting a little silly. I'm hallucinating necromorphs and pretty Australian women. We're going to be in big trouble if we don't find a way to defend ourselves soon. Fortunately, we're an engineer. We can take apart anything and make a weapon out of it. We get our TK, the plasma cutter, the best gun in any game, and our stasis. The stasis is guarded by an unusually dangerous enemy. He will one-shot you, no matter the difficulty, and you have to hit him with stasis before you can do any damage to him. I missed. There are plenty of threats to my life. Let's talk about some of those threats. Slashers, which are the standard variant, just dismember the leg and then the arm. The pukers, which can shoot 2 kinds of projectiles. One that slows you down for a while, and one that just plain old hurts you. And then there's the leapers. These speedy little dudes are by far the biggest threat in the game. They're so fast, can jump from anywhere, and they're the only enemy that has a 2-hit combo. This purple light is a power node, and power nodes are gold. You can use them to upgrade your weapons, health, stasis, and open locked resource rooms. How many of these I find has a huge impact on how well this goes. Power node. There are windows like this one that can be broken, and you're in danger of being sucked out into space if you don't shoot the red triangle in time.
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
Now that we're at the shop, let's talk strategy. First of all, I'm using DLC items. Maybe you think it's a little cheap, but I'm not saving for the whole game. I get to wear the nice suit. We're using the Forged Engineer suit since it gives a boost to heals, and the Forged Plasma Cutter for the damage boost. We're also buying the Bloody Force Gun and the EarthGov Pulse Rifle and stashing those in the box until near the end of the game. The more guns we have on us, the more ammo types we need to hold. So if we only have the Plasma Cutter, we can pack light. We've barely started, and it's already time for the first boss. Such a gamer! Oh my god. First bench of the game, and the plan is to do all damage nodes as efficiently as we can, as well as the special node which lights enemies on fire when shot, totaling up to 12 nodes. That is the worst sound in the game. Exploders.
That's a surprise tool that can help us later.
We need to get to Dana as soon as possible, and the fastest way to do that is by train.
Please let this be a normal field trip? With a friend? No way!
Cruising on down Main Street, you're relaxed and feeling good.
Well, that didn't work. And this little setback is gonna force us to have our first encounter with the Church of Unitology, which is a cool religion, as long as you're chill with sacrificing your body to become a necromorph.
Suicide is badass.
No.
Now we're introduced to the pack, and it's the pack that shows us a glaring problem with the plasma cutter. You see, it takes 1 shot to kill them, but it also takes another shot for them to drop loot. You could wait until they're all dead and stomp them, but this game despawns bodies to run smoother. So if you didn't get the resources before then, you never will. Having the pulse rifle here would have been way better. In the Church of Unitology gift shop is where we finally get our maxed out plasma cutter. Pretty appropriate because this thing is a gift from God, just maybe not their God. Also in the church, it's time for the stalkers. Patient, headstrong, and sound like velociraptors. The good news is, they're pretty easy to deal with. Just put all the things that they can hide behind on one side of you, and wait for them to charge. Then shoot their leg and their arm, and they die. Oh shit! We finally make it to Dana, where she then betrays us immediately pays for it, and we get tossed around in space for a while before ending up very far away from where we just were. Then, Strauss calls us and tells us the marker is being kept in the government sector. On the way there, we come across a big boy, another stalker room, which is just as simple as the first one, and then we come across Ellie, another survivor and our replacement Australian girl. Afterwards, we're cutting through the daycare, which has babies that do that, our first enhanced variant, which is a stronger version of existing necromorph types, a son with really weird lips, and another reminder that I should really be using the pulse rifle. After we get out, Ellie finds Strauss and agrees to escort him to the transport hub, which is exactly where we're heading.
But if he does anything stupid, I will shoot him.
And it's at the transport hub that we come across a familiar face from the first game, the Brute. But he's actually less of a pain in Dead Space 2. Just use stasis, shoot one arm until it falls off, then do the same with the other arm. Here, at the very start of Chapter 7, it's a good time to start focusing on stasis. Mostly because that brute fight almost killed me, and longer stasis would have helped. We don't need charge time reductions though. There are so many stasis packs in the game, so waiting 90 seconds for one stasis charge feels like clown behavior. This elevator is the worst. I've tried it at least a dozen times and I have never felt like I was doing the right thing. You can stand in the middle, run in a circle, do whatever you want. You're still going to get hit, it's a cruel joke, and I am the punchline. Good news though, after that, we come up against Auntie, who tries her very best to kill us, but is absolutely awful at it. She just has to watch as we hack every single one of her completely innocuous traps. Except for those laser things. The noise they make is scary. Shit. But then, she throws a curveball and gives me my greatest challenge yet. I need to look at 4 shapes, and then remember those 4 shapes. Then, do it again.
But wait! There's more!
A secret third pattern? Well, I've already come this far, and her puzzles are no match for me. Damn it. And it's behind that third pattern that we find the ping room, the holy grail. 2 power nodes, 5,000 credits, a large health pack, ruby semiconductor, and the ping statue. After we raid her stash, we put the final nail in the coffin and shut her down. And, to add insult to injury, a bunch of tentacle dudes got way closer to killing me than she ever did. Oh my god. Oh shit! It's time for the Rumpus Room. Pretty simple strategy here. Start off at the side opposite where the explosion happened. You'll need to move around a little bit because of pukers and leapers, but you should stay on this side pretty much the whole time. Right up until Ellie says, "Open up, you bastard!" Then make your way to the right towards the red CEC door. Acknowledge how little health you had left, and move on.
Shit, Isaac. Shit.
Well, I can't do it on command. This is one of the 2 most important power node doors in the game, because in addition to having 2 power nodes, you get the vintage suit schematic. The vintage suit gives you a 10% discount on everything in the store while wearing it, and that discount is going to add up with all the power nodes, ammo, and health we're gonna buy at the end. Now that we're dressed to kill, we press on. Oh no! No! Oh my god! I died! Oh no! I lost 4 hours of progress because I missed 1 shot. That is a little depressing, but with loss comes lessons. First thing, we're not upgrading the plasma cutter to do fire damage this time. It's too many power nodes and it does enough damage without it. Second, much more important lesson, we're bringing the pulse rifle with us from the beginning. Up to Chapter 9, where I died, I only found 39 pulse rounds through the whole game. So, if it's in my inventory, I can get way more pulse rounds, and if a window breaks on me, I don't need to be nearly as accurate. Plus, you can't do this with the plasma cutter. And with the magic of the montage, we're already back. He never gets dismembered twice. Next up, it's time for the second tripod fight. But this time, we also have to throw explosives at this bigger explosive until it blows up. I didn't actually know this at first, but you don't even need to fight the tripod. It doesn't drop anything, and another one will show up after killing the first one. So save your ammo, keep him stasis, and run circles around him until the bigger canister blows up. After the Hammer of Dawn destroys our route to the government sector, we need to back it up and take a pit stop at the USG Ishimura, conveniently docked nearby.
Isaac, no! This is a really bad idea.
Stick around. I'm full of bad ideas.
I have to give this game credit. This is the only time I've actually felt trauma from a video game. I did not want to come back to the Ishimura, especially with the risk of losing everything. But being afraid isn't gonna beat this challenge, and the game rewards my courage with a brute fight. And once that one's taken care of, another rousing game of brute fight. But that second brute dropped a diamond semiconductor, so all things considered, that's a pretty nice reward. Also, if you run to the very end of the walkway after fighting the brutes, you can make the necromorphs get a little cardio. At the next bench, I decide to max out the alt fire of the pulse rifle, which is like a grenade launcher that costs 25 rounds per shot. I ended up using it pretty often since it has pretty good damage and can stun or knock down almost anything in its explosive range. This hallway has a lot of enemies. They just keep coming, include almost every type of enemy in the game, and somehow manage to always be behind you. Oh my god!
Welcome to the medical deck.
The medical deck kicked my ass. Or rather, I kicked my ass in the medical deck. I did it again! We take on some more stalkers, backed by leapers and pukers this time. Then head down to the flight deck and activate the gravity tethers to grab Tiedemann and bring his sorry ass back here. And after a bit of a rough ride, Ellie loses an eye, which puts Strauss at the very top of my shit list. We've got a few more stalkers here to deal with. Just run past them to the bottom of the ramp and deal with them like usual. Oh, and there are babies too. A little further in, and we come to the cave section of the game, which I have to be honest, might be my favorite part. I don't know if it's because of the level design or if they just decided to be nice here, but I always feel the most aware of where all the enemies are down here. You guys remember Neversoft?
Watch out! Watch out!
Now we're coming up on the other power node door that is absolutely essential, because it has the advanced suit. It also has a bronze semiconductor, which is worse than dirt. The advanced suit is a beautiful upgrade, which we won't be using. But buying it will give the inventory and armor upgrades to whatever suit we wear, so it's still very much worth it. We get interrupted from the best hacking minigame by Strauss, which is absolutely unacceptable, and we drive that into his thick skull. Then we find ourselves on a horrible elevator ride. You'll get several waves of necromorphs, most of which appear 2 at a time. I took to stasising one and then turning around to deal with the other one while the first one was still slowed. We'll be coming up to the last section of the game pretty soon, so it's time to start thinking about the upgrades for the force gun, which will be as much damage and capacity as we can manage without being wasteful. So that damage node way at the end ain't worth it. Shortly after that, we find a giant drill that we're going to use to tunnel our way out of here, but naturally, it needs to be fixed. And while we're running around looking for parts, we find a power node and a diamond semiconductor just lying on the rocks. A few repairs later, and we're on the move. While we're on the drill ride, I put my back to the drill because they always seem to climb up on the end closest to Ellie. Just make sure not to get too far past the yellow line. And when you get to the sections with lurkers on ridges, just make sure to get the supplies that are also on those ridges. There's a surprising amount of goodies over there. Once we finish our drill ride and crash into the government sector, there is only one thing left to do.
Isaac, what are you doing? Open the door right now! No, don't you dare! Don't you dare lose this ship!
It's your best chance, Ellie. You got life support, comms. Hey, you gotta be rescued. I need you to be rescued. I couldn't save Nicole, but I can save you, Ellie. So, bye.
Isaac, touch me.
Could you read the room? Now that we're inside GovSec, every encounter is a potential run killer. Room after room of dozens of enemies pouring in. And then, to make matters worse, there's the laser room. You need to run into the main area and duck into the side room 3 times in a row. And if you touch the laser mechanism even once, you're dead. Now, has that room gotten you afraid of the color red? Good, because it's time for the red rooms. A 3-floored onslaught of enemies packed with enhanced necromorphs, exploders, and rounded out with an enhanced brute. After the needle in the eye part and the introduction of the Ubermorph, an unkillable regenerating necromorph, we'll be facing the final gauntlet. So it's time to pull the force gun out of storage, give it its upgrades, and make sure we're prepped for the end of the journey. And it was behind this door that the unthinkable happened. Shit! No! No, I healed! I died. 5 doors, 5 minutes from the last boss, 10 minutes from beating the game. That one really hurt. And I know what you're thinking. You had all that health, why didn't you heal? I did. I was spamming B like my life depended on it. So what happened? Well, if you'll direct your attention to the bottom left of the screen, the culprit. I didn't see the lurker hiding in the corner that hit me with his projectiles an instant before I get hit with the 2-hit combo from the leaper. And while I'm stuck in the stun animation for each hit, I can't heal. Having that happen completely destroyed my composure, and I got a lot worse. I ended up losing 4 more runs and 20 more hours, including one that made it all the way to chapter 14. But a tiny silver lining, I found 3 new power nodes. That's 3 nodes I don't have to buy, and 3 more large health packs I can get instead. And more health is great, if I can use it. Making it back to the final gauntlet this time, I feel pretty good about this one. And coming back to that fateful door, I know I have to hit the leaper with stasis. It's the only way to safely get by. I missed, and in an instant, the thought of losing everything came rushing into my head. But this time, luck was on my side. The puker shot the leaper out of the air, saving my life and this run. Thank you. But I couldn't capitalize on the luck for long, because on the last QTE before the boss, this happened. I missed. Okay, he died, doesn't matter. Nah, everything was fine. Fight time! Come on, this is the 3rd one. I hope it's... Yes! Yes! Ellie! Just an A press now. And I was made for A presses. Yeah! And that, ladies and gentlemen, the story of how I beat Dead Space 2 hardcore with 0 saves.